Looks like we're on. For those of you, teachers' pets, you know what to do. Start telling all your friends, like it, follow. The only way we know that you're in the classroom is if you like or if you make a comment. And today we are giving away 3 of these. So you want to make sure that you have been noted, that attendance is taken, and that you are in the classroom because we have Dr. Joel Fuhrman. So let me go ahead and hit the record. I want to start on time today, and he just leaves. Oh my goodness. Okay, for those of you who are the teacher's pets, you're in the classroom, you know that today is a special day. We have Dr. Joel Fuhrman in the classroom. We are giving away 3 of these. So make sure that you claim it. 407-373-5959. The phone number is there. No excuses. It's time to take your health back. So fasten your seatbelt and let's learn and grow together. Here we go. It's time to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to provide I said that already, provide alternatives way to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, for those of you who are tuning in because you know the doctor is in the classroom, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who is a best-selling author who focuses on nutritional excellence. And so many years, since 2015, he's been coming in the classroom every month. And I think we've given away almost every single book that he's ever written. But today, this is the book that we're giving away. So this is what you do. You get your name, you claim it, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, claim that you want to take your health back. And then you need to text me 407-373-5959. And that way we will put your name in the winner's basket and we will select 3 names that will win a copy of this book. And Dr. Fuhrman will send it to you as soon as we draw the names. So today we are going to be talking about fasting. There are different kinds of fasting, and we've talked about juicing and water and all of that. But there's the rage of intermittent fasting. But how good is it? What are the rules for it? What are the myths that are out there that we need to learn about? So, since we have Dr. Joel Fuhrman, he's going to tell us how to do this in a way that we are going to achieve optimal health. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful to Dr. Joel Fuhrman because he's here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Fuhrman, to the classroom.
Hi, Lillian. Good to be here.
It is nice to be here with you. So let's get started. I mean, before we get started, I want you to tell us about the wonderful boot camp that you are starting again. Would you like to share about that?
Yeah, a few times a year, I set aside, a couple of weeks of my time to work with a group on Zoom nowadays, and to really speak to them, explain all the bases of the nutritional science behind how to take charge of your health again. And we all, as a group, we all restrict our eating window and we follow a certain recipe plan, very high in nutrients. We're being very mindful of our calories and the times we're eating it. So everybody can get together and make sure we're doing a cleansing and repairing. And also for those people who are an introduction to my program, it's a great time to work with a bunch of people, including my food addiction counselors, my cooking information, and my chefs and myself in a personal level, with a lot of question and answer time too. We get people really engrossed all together, supporting each other. And I get psyched up for it because they encourage me to keep my eating window consistent and to watch my overeating tendencies and to stay with consistency from the time I'm going to sleep and the time I'm eating each day. And so we all do this as a group together, supporting each other. And it really helps because you leave that window of spending a couple of weeks together doing that, where it's not just people lose weight and get their health, and better charged up, but it helps you take what you've learned and focused on. It helps you continue the process better. And there's regrouping, getting rid of the little errors, getting rid of little cheats, getting rid of little things we do wrong, and doing everything really perfected with the whole group supporting each other for a period of time under my direction helps us keep it going and really enjoy taking better care of our health and sticking to these nuances, these little nuances that make a big difference in your health and longevity. It's paying attention to the edges where these frayed edges you let go and gravitate away from you can really mess up your health. So we get really focused in on people really trying to do everything right for this period of time. It's like a detox, but it's like really going over the details to make sure you're doing everything right.
That's wonderful. And you're doing the emergency boot camp too, that you're going to do that recipes for that as well?
Well, during this time, we're using an intermittent fasting. It's not, it's like the emergency weight loss plan, but it's not quite as calorically restricted. The emergency weight loss plan is for people who calorically restrict a little more to really accelerate the reversal. And here we don't have to go quite that far, but we can go with balance it and use the intermittent fasting to control our tendency to want to overeat and use that little time restricted window to really titrate the exact amount of calories we all should be on and to stay on long term. And the use of intermittent fasting really helps us get in touch with our instinctual need for food and titrate our calories and tweak it down to the perfect spot for us. And we practice that and repeat it, and then we can continue it, because once we got it ironed down and get it just right, we can keep it going to maintain that degree of weight loss or that degree of physical fitness that we want to achieve,
Very good. Very good. And as a reminder, the book is called 100 Best Foods for Health and Longevity, 25 mouthwatering recipes. So make sure that you declare it in the comment section, whether you're watching YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook. But if you're listening on podcast, we're going to do the drawing on Friday. And so make sure that you claim it at 407-373-5959. So today, Dr. Fuhrman, we're talking about fasting. I've heard about intermittent fasting for a long time. You and I have talked about intermittent fasting, but there are a lot of myths out there. Intermittent fasting without nutritional excellence, does it work?
Anything you do everything doesn't work. The only thing that works is being consistent in your life. And that means we're talking here about time restricted eating, because the science shows us that if you go to bed on a full stomach, if you eat late at night, that damages your health. That's the most important thing. And the other thing is people know that a healthier diet is healthier than one that's less healthy. That's kind of a stupid sentence. But everybody thinks you can cheat and eat a diet less healthy and be just as healthy. It's just not true. When you tweak your diet to nutritional perfection, the magic happens. The body miraculously heals the mitochondria, heals spasm, heals inflammatories, and the nerves start to heal. Your immune system goes into overdrive. When you perfect the diet and you get the nutrients up, the glycemic effect down low, and you're not overeating calories, more calories than you need, keeping your body fat low enough so you slow your metabolic rate down a little bit, then you excite the telomerase that extends your telomere, the stem cell maintenance, the SIRT1, and the AMP kinase. What I'm saying is these longevity proteins get utilized and activated to stabilize our stem cells, to repair our telomeres, to fix broken DNA crosslinks. You have to do everything right if you want the body to have this, how you should say, anti-aging and more youthful biomechanics happen in the body. when you just do things haphazardly, you just overeat a little bit here and there, you have too much rice or potato, you put oil on your food, you eat too late at night. It's amazing how easy it is to discombobulate the body's healing, to blow it up just from these stupid little mistakes people make. And we can measure the effects. When we measure the effects of doing all these things, we see miraculous changes in body chemistry, and we see miraculous healing occurs. So it's all about giving people back this miraculous self-healing power that's inherently in their body, that they put it into dormancy. And intermittent fasting is one of these things. And what we're talking here about a nutritarian diet is chronically, moderately calorically restricting. Chronic, do it all the time. Don't continually overeat more calories than you need. Eat the right amount of calories you need. And the only way you can titrate that calories is by cutting back a little bit and to see how you feel. If you feel like you're not, and you cut back enough so you can feel hunger. If you're not cutting back enough to feel hungry, then you're chronically overeating. And if you're eating late at night, then you're not going to digest your food well. And if you're eating late at night, you're not metabolizing your calories. And if you're eating late at night, you're not getting the full benefit out of repairing and rejuvenating and autophagy that occurs during sleep. If you're going to bed with food in your stomach and you're having regurgitation and acid and food going up and down while you're trying to sleep at night, your body should be in a total restful state when you go to bed at night to get the maximum healing to occur during the sleeping process. And the only way that works effectively is when you're not digesting food. And that means you have to finish eating dinner 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed at night, preferably 4 hours before you go to bed at night. And so what I'm saying right now, we're talking here that dieting doesn't work. Going on super restrictions where you try to drop, where you do total water fasting or you restrict calories so severely so you drop your weight and you go off and you gain your weight back again. You go back to overeating, you keep your weight going up, and you go back to a real strict diet and get it off again when you're over. That's not the way that's not the methodology to maximally expend lifespan. It's better to do something consistently day in and day out. And the only way you can consistently keep at that borderline of moderate caloric restriction, where you hit the ideal fat percent and you don't overconsume calories, is to eat the highest nutrient, eat a super high nutrient diet with low glycemic foods, while you undershoot your calories just slightly and control your food eating window. The most important thing right now is to get consistency in your eating window. You have to set an eating window and you have to stick to it. I'm saying right now, you have to sit down, you're going to finish eating dinner by 6 o'clock every night, and bang, you're not going to touch your food after 6 o'clock. You're going to shut down the restaurant. You're going to close off the kitchen. You're going to get the calories out of your body. You're going to clean your teeth and water pick, and you're going to stay away from food to the following morning. And that's the critical.
Water pick, not floss?
Well, I think that even when people floss, they still can keep particles in their teeth. And sometimes they push particles in with a floss. Flossing does remove plaque from between the teeth that water pick can't do. But a water pick also takes out certain embedded food particles that are helpful to get out.
Okay, so I have lots of, now you talked about digestion and you didn't mention the word catabolic. I learned that from you, and the importance of digestion before going to sleep because of the catabolic. What happens during the catabolic state when you are sleeping?
That's correct. The catabolic is the phase when you're not digesting, when digesting has ceased. The anabolic is the phase of digestion when you're eating, and the few hours after you're eating, you're absorbing those calories into the bloodstream, you're digesting that food. That's called the anabolic phase because calories are coming into the body. When calories are coming into the body's storing them, allocating them, putting them away in the parts they're supposed to go, and you're growing things as a result of those calories. You're burning and growing things.
Yeah.
When that ceases and no more calories are coming in, then the body is burning the calories that were stored. And when the calories are being burned, when the glycogen is being utilized, when the fat is being utilized for energy, when we're utilizing stored calories, that's when the liver can devote itself to deconjugating fat-soluble toxins, and the mitochondria can repair on destroying aged particles and aged pieces. In other words, repair and healing is enhanced, tremendously enhanced in the catabolic phase when you're not digesting food.
And you
And
must be asleep. And you must be asleep, right?
no,
You don't have to be.
The catabolic phase is still going on when you're not asleep.
Okay.
But the catabolic phase, the work of the catabolic phase is enhanced while you're sleeping. And sleeping is your body's largest stretch of a catabolic phase. We can be in a short amount of catabolism before lunch, before breakfast, and right before lunch or before dinner. We can finish digesting lunch and be in a catabolic phase before dinner, which is good to do. But it's after dinner, the 3 hours after dinner, we have that extended catabolic phase. And don't forget, in the early phase of the catabolic cycle, the body's burning mostly glycogen. It's breaking down the glycogen, it's not burning fat. It's only when the glycogen is utilized, like 2/3 gone, that the body is predominantly using fat for energy. We're trying to get into that fat burning stage. And the phase when the body most effectively burns fat is when we've exhausted our glycogen. We want to finish eating dinner early, exhaust the glycogen start to utilize that glycogen before bedtime. And then you get into the night when your body's in a more fat burning and enhanced stage of healing. What I'm saying now is the beneficial effects of catabolism is enhanced in the later stages of catabolism that takes place like from 12 midnight on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned 6 p.m. Some people don't get home till 5, 6 o'clock, and they don't eat dinner until 6 p.m. or 6:30 or 7. So in a situation like that, should they, is that okay on a regular basis, or should they eat before they go home? What do you suggest, Dr. Fuhrman? Because everybody's lifestyle is different.
I can't change the biology because somebody has to work late at night. I can't change the way the human body works to accommodate. You need 3 hours, minimum 3 hours between the end of dinner, and they have to eat an earlier meal. They have to, between the end of dinner when they go to bed at night, they need 3 hours.
Okay.
And for optimal health, we can't change optimal health. You should set a time for dinner and stick with it. And you should set a bedtime and stick with it. Constantly changing the time you go to bed. One night you're staying up till 12, the next day you're going to bed at 9, next day you're staying until 3 in the morning because your job makes you work all night. That's not good for your health.
Mm-hmm.
What's good for your health is setting an eating window and sticking with it, and setting a sleeping window and sticking with that too. And I'm saying that 3 hours minimum to have excellent health between the end of eating and going to bed, and 4 hours ideally between the end of eating. So that means if you finished eating by 6 o'clock, you're going to bed at 10 o'clock. We usually eat dinner here at 5 o'clock, so we're done eating by 6, the latest, and we go to bed about 10. Sometimes I go to bed at 9:30, but I'm trying to really have that, that eating window be really, and I'm not always perfect. Sometimes I get home, I didn't eat enough at dinner, I still want to eat something, I have some, a piece of melon later at night or something. I'm not saying I do it perfect every night, but I'm trying to do it perfect as much as I can.
Good.
So I'm trying to, as much as I can, keep it in mind and trying to stick with it. And it helps me if I go home and if we clean the kitchen, close everything up, and then I clean my teeth.
That does it for me.
And I'm not going to go back home and clean my teeth again. So so that helps me stick with it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's like taking my gym clothes out the night before, because I know if I don't do that, then I won't go to the gym the next morning. So Night Lily, make sure that Day Lily is successful by planning ahead. And the same thing happens with, if once I brush my teeth, I'm done. And I floss, I'm done. I'm not going to eat anymore. But this is what happens when we are in a situation where we go to a party, especially in the weekends. And I'm trying to remember Dr. Suhas Shirzargar. He said that we have jet lag over the weekend because we it's like a weekend jet lag because we stay up late at night, eat different foods in the weekend, kind of give ourselves permission to kind of relax. And that's really a horrible mentality. So any tips that you can offer to someone who is a social person, who's invited to parties and gatherings, and, people hate it when you're not eating or drinking with the rest of the people. And that kind of, we've got to develop a stronger mindset for this, because the reality is we are hurting ourselves in the weekend, and we're not making up. We're not making up during the week. During the week, we're doing so wonderful, but in the weekend, then we go into this jet lag equivalent. So would you like to add anything about that?
Well, I could add a few things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just because it's pathologic and that people behave and go out and have fun snorting cocaine or drinking alcohol.
Well, not necessarily cocaine, but I was
Why
thinking
not?
more like
Why not
eating like,
give them the
well,
cocaine? They're going to go out and smoke cigarettes at the party too if they're going to go out and drink alcohol. It's a carcinogen,
Yeah.
and then we're socialized. What I'm saying is just because a majority of people do it, it's still, and people go away on cruise ships and eat at buffets and they come back and have a heart attack, and people go away on holidays and they binge out a buffet, and so it's exceedingly dangerous to behave like other Americans behave. If you do things that are socialized into our culture like that, you're going to have what other Americans get, which is very, very sick.
That's true.
My wife looks at me and she says to me, because she sees me eating something maybe late at night or something, and she'll say to me, are you eating just because you're recreating with food? Or are you really hungry? You really eat that?
I could see her doing that too.
No, so you're right. I'm
eating
recreating with food. I'm just, because it's sitting there on the counter. It looks so good. And you're right. Put it back and put it in the refrigerator. Get it away from it.
Isn't it wonderful that you guys have accountability partners with partnership with each other?
Right. Exactly. And the trick here is, what do you consider fun? Do you consider drinking and smoking and eating bad food and ruining your body fun? Or do you have games where you get together, we socialize, and we play charades, and we play spoons, and we play, what's that game, Lisa, where you put the things in the hat with the papers and stuff? Salad bowl, and we play all these, you know how you do that, where you like, it's really, so we're doing fun things, we're having entertainment, and we're collecting, having a conversation, doing fun things at parties. We're not imbibing on things that we're hurting ourselves with.
Yeah. We are. I'm doing a workshop November 13th, 14th, and 15th. I'm doing a workshop on mindset. I'm doing a workshop on setting ourselves up for success. And it is so important that our mindset change. Isn't it wonderful that what you view fun, it is truly healthy for us. Some people view fun going out dancing, partying all night and staying and getting drunk or whatever. That may have worked when they were teenagers or whatever, or younger. But as we get older, we need to leave some of those childhood ways behind us, because now what we do today, and Dr. Fuhrman, I've talked to you about my mom and my dad and their health and how they struggle. And I look at them and I say, really what we do today will be what we achieve in 20 years. So if I want to, be healthy in 20 years and 40 years or 50 years, I really need to change my mindset now. And so I love how you have, and Lisa have worked really well together to kind of hold each other accountable and say, I'm about health. I'm not about, and fun, because you can have a lot of fun with a party like that.
And you could still do dancing. You just don't have to do it with the alcohol and the cocaine.
That's right.
And the bad food and the cocaine. I don't
hang out with anybody who does cocaine. I'm just glad
I consider cake cocaine.
Oh, there we go. Cocaine.
Like cake is like cocaine.
Cocaine.
White stuff, anything like a white powder, it's like cocaine.
Got it. Okay. Well, Mike, I am addicted to your chocolate cream pie. So that is what I have in my house. So there's no cake, there's no flour in our house. But it is true. We have got to reframe what we call nutrition, what we call fun, what we call abundance even. And so those are the things that we just need to be mindful of. But here's there are benefits and there's payoffs and prices for doing these things. So there are people that would like to do this, maybe intermittent fasting. They think, oh, okay, I just won't eat and then I can eat whatever I want. But let's talk about people who this will benefit. Who will benefit from intermittent fasting?
Well, don't forget, we're talking about that during this stage of night when you have this extended period of not eating and all this miraculous self-healing goes on. That self-healing is enabled by the nutrients you stored in your body when you're in the eating phases. Yes. So what enables that magic to occur when the not eating phase is eating that bok choy and that arugula and those scallions on your salad the day before. In other words, so it's the nutritarian diet is designed to work beautifully with the period of fasting because we've activated all the cellular machinery that enables these repair mechanisms. And then when you go into this fasting stage, it enables it. It's better than going on fasting for 21 days on water. It's better to fast for a short, because you're replenishing the body's glutathione and these antioxidants and these nutrients that fuel the antioxidant response element in the mitochondria, or autophagy and the telomere, the ability of the body to repair telomeres and stabilize the stem cells and the longevity proteins. All these things get enhanced, and then we do some fasting. And then we put the nutrients in, and then we do some fasting again. So this is really the secret. And there's even people who recommend like this processed food packages of various foods, and you go on a special diet of processed foods, and you try to not eat for a day or a half a day, and you go on the special, and they're measuring out the calories, but nothing works as well as the nutritional portfolio of a nutritarian diet, which is maximally designed to fuel the body's self-reparative systems, that by mixing together the dark green cruciferous vegetables and things like bok choy and arugula and scallions, with the onion and scallion, with the cooked mushrooms, with the beans, including natural soybeans like edamame or dried soybeans, with the seeds, by putting all the full nutritarian portfolio of the flavonoids from the berries together, then we've got that full symphonic orchestra playing this fantastic music for the immune system to be fully activated. It's like we've taken the science of nutrition and maximized its efficacy so the body can heal and repair. And you didn't get away with anything when you were getting drunk when you were 20 years old. It's not just for young people. You were creating damage. You were damaging brain cells and setting into place the biology for dementia for later in life. And all the times you were eating poorly. And this is why people can't afford to go halfway. They have to go all the way to repair the damages they may have occurred when they're younger. Yeah. We have to fully maximize the body's repair systems. It's so critical today more than ever before to allow the body to fully heal itself with all these modern techniques we've learned from modern nutritional science. We put them all together is when they work most effectively.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's give us, you mentioned edamame, and I do want to talk about, I've gotten some questions prior to the class today about soy, and seems to be a theme where a lot of men that I know that will say, oh, I can't do soy, or I'll prepare tofu or tempeh, I can't do soy. Now, all my tofu, tempeh, or edamame that I serve is organic, non-GMO. So that I want to say that is so important right there. But a lot of men feel that these products are not good for them. Is there a reason, or especially if they have cancer or anything to that effect, is there any fact to that men cannot have soy?
It's the advocacy of the lobbyists for the meat industry that take over a large portion of the internet, and the advocates of paleo diets and high meat diets and carnivore diets and keto diets that want people on plant-based diets that think there's something wrong with soy. It's a marketing ploy of that industry to try to dissuade people from eating plant-based diets. When you go to the science shows the opposite. It's not true. There's just too much. So there's billions of dollars spent to try to support and prop up the meat and dairy industry, and one of the ways they do that is by attacking certain foods by saying, oh, there's lectins in beans and the soy is bad. They're trying to make natural plants seem negative so people think animal products are still safe, when the evidence is the opposite. Matter of fact, so what I'm saying right now is soy has genistein, which is an estrogen-like compound that blocks the effect of real estrogen from affecting breast tissue and causing estrogen stimulation and cell proliferation. It's an anti-estrogenic effects on prostate tissue. And estrogen does promote prostate cancer. And fat on a male's body does increase the risk of prostate cancer because fat cells promote aromatase activity, and aromatase produces estrogen in females and males. Mm-hmm. So when you have more body fat, you're at high risk of prostate cancer because of the heightened level of estrogen, and your estrogen testosterone ratio is unfavorable, where your estrogen's too high and your testosterone's too low. When you we're talking about whole soy products like tempeh, like edamame, and like dried soybeans that are soaked and then cooked into a chili or a soup. We're not talking about tofu and soy milk and isolated soy protein, because those don't have the anti-cancer effects as the soybean with the whole fiber intact.
So tempeh is better than tofu.
Yes, tempeh is ground soybeans that are fermented. Tofu is soy milk. The fiber is soy milk that's fermented into a block. It's not as healthy as tempeh or edamame and soybeans. What I'm saying is the phytochemicals present in the whole bean even though they have estrogen-like compounds, they block the real estrogen. They put a shield over the prostate, and they don't let the prostate be stimulated from estrogens that your body produces. The healthiest thing to do would be to lose weight, get thinner, and eat beans, including soybeans, to protect your prostate. Now, soybeans have this anti-estrogenic effect on the breast and prostate, but they have a pro-estrogenic effect on bone tissue, because they actually fantastically, and they attach to the estrogen receptors on bone, stimulating bone growth, which makes you have more muscle and bone strength with aging. And more muscle and bone strength with aging, which soybeans encourage, increases your testosterone. So what I'm saying here is, because soy gives us good muscle and bone there, then we've enhanced our testosterone estrogen ratio, lowering risk of prostate cancer, and having a magnificent effect on lowering risk of breast cancer. It's the opposite of what these people are afraid of.
Amazing.
Opposite.
Yeah, but you're saying that this is something that the meat industry is saying, but I've heard of some vegans that are in the food industry, or that say that if you have mushrooms or legumes, that they're bad for your body, that they're too hard to digest and causing your body to be focused on digestion and not healing and being in the healing mode. What would you say about that? Like mushrooms and beans, which are very much a part of the G-bombs.
Yeah, I don't really have many opinions, especially in the nutritional field. What I do is I'm a real, it's my hobby and life's mission to review all the science and look at all the short-term studies and the long-term studies and the epidemiologic studies, and look at all the, in other words, to look at the data in a very comprehensive fashion. And when you look at the data in a comprehensive fashion, there's no data to support these viewpoints. What I'm saying is the nutritional data is overwhelmingly consistent. We can look at 1,000 studies on mushrooms, not 100, 1,000. Yeah. And we can see that they all point to the same direction.
Cooked mushrooms, right?
Yes, but even though raw mushrooms contain agarotine, which the dangers of agarotine are more theoretical than real, they know we have some toxic effects and they may be harmful in large amounts. But we know it's better to probably eat cooked mushrooms, but there's no definitive data on how much raw mushrooms are dangerous or how dangerous raw mushrooms would be. Even the raw mushrooms may even be better for you than not having any mushrooms, even with the agarotine. I don't want people to be frantic, so afraid of eating a raw mushroom. We know that overwhelmingly, that I do think the consumption of cooked mushrooms and the amounts I'm advocating is healthier, because we're trying to err on the side of caution. But certainly we know that all the studies documenting mushroom eating shows that it extends human lifespan and radically protects against cancer. Yeah. And the fact that almost every cell in the body has an ergothioneine receptor on it. And the ergothioneine receptor has tremendous ability to stabilize the cell's DNA and to prevent aging of the body. And that means mushrooms are a particular anti-aging, magnificent anti-aging tool, stabilizing our DNA through because they're the highest ergothioneine containing foods, like 30 times higher than almost any other food. It's almost as if our biology has been designed to benefit from mushrooms in diets that primates and humans have eaten all for 30,000 years, because our cells are designed that way.
Wow. Well, okay, so I got a little off.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The same thing that, because I'm trying not to give my opinion. My opinion is not even relevant. Yeah. Is because we're saying here that when a person says, it's better to have more meat in your diet, and you need to eat meat for good health, and you can't be healthy on, unless you eat cheese and butter and meat. They're giving their opinion because they're not well versed in the science that is out there. If they were well versed in the science that was out there, and they looked at both the short-term studies, which give you an idea, a hypothesis that something might be beneficial, but it could trick you, because you have to only see if the short-term studies looking at soft endpoints are corroborated with the long-term studies looking at hard endpoints like death or cancer deaths or heart attack deaths, to see if they agree to have to have a high degree of credence. You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, like I said, it was a vegan that was saying that when you do have cancer, eating nuts and a little bit of seeds, but eating nuts, legumes or beans and mushrooms was prohibitive. And I've seen that. And I've had many of these questions in the classroom asking that same question. It seems to be out there. The people that have cancer should avoid it because it creates too much digestion and that it keeps them from. Anyway, that is what I've been hearing. And I just thought, I wonder what Dr. Fuhrman would say.
There's a lot of radicalism within the vegan community as well, particularly those who, they're almost, so many of them are so politicalized and brainwashed that they really don't want to contemplate the idea that a vegan diet might be low in certain nutrients that they have to consider to prevent dementia later in life, like DHA or zinc or something. In other words, you almost can't ask a dyed-in-the-wool vegan person about nutrition because it's like asking a carnivore who doesn't want to give up their meat. They're so much looking to justify their philosophy. What I'm saying, without a philosophy to try to protect or to try to collect evidence to justify your opinion, and just let science dictate where you go, is a completely different viewpoint and so unusual in our climate today, in the nutritional field. It's obviously it's happening in our political field as well.
Yeah.
Really, we have to, really let us have a very comprehensive look at the science. And I spend so much time, delving deep into all the science in nutrition. I don't delve deep into all the science in other subjects because you're only one individual, but I want to make sure I read everything on these topics. You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to remind all of you that today we're giving away, actually not today, on Friday, we're going to be giving away 100 best foods. It's a book it's a special edition with Dr. Fuhrman, and it's 100 best foods for health and longevity. And it has 25 mouth-watering recipes. It's a really great book, very colorful, has lots of information in here. So make sure you claim it wherever you are. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, claim that you want to take your health back. But if you're listening on, and then text me at 407-373-5959. If you're listening on podcast later on, just text me 407-373-5959. Your name will go into a winner's basket and 3 names will be selected. And I just want to remind all of you to make sure that you do subscribe to whenyouneedafriend.com. Like me, follow me in all social media, especially BitChute. We're looking at other forms that we're being garbled into by the algorithms, and we need to make sure that you yourself have an opportunity to share that this class is on, because a lot of people are saying we're not even getting notifications. And now we're getting, I'm getting messages from YouTube saying something that was posted 6 months ago, they're taking it down because of whatever. So censorship is real and it's happening. So I need for you guys to help out. Spirit, Mind, and Body, help donate to the classroom because we're doing things a little different now. And so please go to whenyouneedafriend.com to learn more. Also, I want to remind you that if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com to the Shop Now bag, Dr. Fuhrman's boot camp that he's doing November 4th, starting November 4th. For those of you who've been telling me, oh, I wish I could go to Eat to Live. Well, if you can't go, this is a great alternative. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com, just click on the link and it'll take you to that. If you're interested, learn more, go to whenyouneedafriend.com. We have lots of questions, Dr. Fuhrman, but before I start taking the questions, I have, I would like for you to give us a sample of what a day in the life of a person who's following optimal health by being a nutritarian and is now adding intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating into their lifestyle. So let's wake up. At what time would we wake up?
Whatever time you naturally wake up, and as you naturally wake up, see if you could lie in bed and sleep a little more if you can.
Really?
So if you go to bed at a reasonable time, you're probably up by, let's say by 6 o'clock, and maybe you're going to eat dinner at 8 o'clock in the morning. So maybe you'll go out and do some exercise between 6:30 and 8 o'clock. Maybe you'll go for a walk or a hike or a jog, or maybe you'll go for a bike ride, or maybe so you'll do something in the morning when you first wake up after maybe a drink of water, and then you go eat a light breakfast. And your breakfast might consume some berries and seeds and maybe a small amount of grain, but maybe some, type of a nut milk, a light breakfast. And then we want a nutritarian to be active or doing exercise at least twice a day, not twice a week or 3 times a week, but at least twice a day. So we have to consider now, is your second exercise period, is it going to be between breakfast and lunch or between lunch and dinner? You want to at least have another period of time when you break, and you want to break up the time you're spending sitting. You don't want to sit in a chair the whole day. So you probably want to take a break between your largest sitting window. And it may be 5 minutes of exercise in the middle of, like 11 o'clock, an hour before lunch. And then it may be another break in exercise, maybe 3 o'clock. So you're not going to, but in any case, then the most important meal of the day is lunch. We want lunch to be a large salad with scallion, with onion, with something cruciferous like baby bok choy or arugula or shredded cabbage or kale, or we want something cruciferous on there with the onion family, with a dressing that's made from nuts and seeds, not oil and no salt. So the secret is to make one of these healthy dressings. And obviously, I'm the father of nut-based dressings. We have thousands of delicious nut-based.
Delicious, they really are.
Delicious nut-based dressings. So you want to use nuts and seeds, not oil, completely opposite biological effects. Where oil prevents fat loss, nuts and seeds encourage fat loss. Where oil increases more appetite and make you eat more calories, nuts and seeds reduce your appetite and shut down the appestat. Completely opposite biologic effects. We want to eat nuts and seeds as a source of fat, not oil. That becomes something, a big salad where you're chopping the greens and you're putting the lettuce, the lettuce and the cruciferous in there. We sometimes put beans on the salad, or we have a vegetable bean soup with it. We had the most delicious white bean and mushroom soup today for lunch with a big salad with an incredible, delicious dressing, and usually a piece of fruit for dessert. And the secret here for nutritarian eating is because we're mindful of the incredible nutritional power of those raw vegetables and how it interacts in our body on a biological cellular level. We're paying attention to chew every mouthful to a liquid, to get the full nutrients out of that salad. We're focusing on lunch as the main meal of the day and making sure that salad goes down as a liquid. We chew that thing all the way down before we swallow it to get all the scallion and all the onion and all the mushroom and all the beans and the salad greens, all the arugula are chewed down. And then you have that with your soup, and so that's the main meal of the day. And then of course at dinner, we might have some raw vegetables with a dip, like baby bok choy or jicama or carrot sticks or raw peppers. We want some solid raw vegetables, again, because we're trying to make the raw vegetable be the start of every meal, right? And then you're going to have usually a cooked or woked vegetables or steamed artichokes or asparagus or string beans or broccoli or a Thai wok or an Asian wok or some kind of thing where you're going to use broccoli and mushrooms and onions and different types of mushrooms in there and different types of vegetables in there, maybe water chestnuts and bamboo shoots and all kinds of different vegetables. But your dinner's and then maybe you're going to have a small piece of dessert, which in my case may be a little bit of frozen cherries from the freezer, which are partially defrosted, or frozen jackfruit, or maybe we whip some banana in with a few walnuts, with a little vanilla bean powder, and a little bit of ice cream. But we have that little bit of sweet dessert on top of the vegetable meal because it signals us to stop eating for the day. That means I'm not going to eat till I'm stuffed. I'm going to eat till I don't feel my stomach. So I'm going to get off the table before I feel I'm full. And I can have a little bit of something sweet like a piece of fruit. And then I'll mark the end of eating for the day. So it tells me I had a nice dinner, but it wasn't over-calorized. And then I'm going to go to not eat for the rest of the night. And then maybe at dinner, I might go out and work in the garden, water the plants, go for a walk, spend time with people, socialize, talk, have fun, games, dance, do something that's wholesome, not going or maybe watch a movie or whatever you're doing. Stay away from food. You don't have to be putting things in your mouth all night long. Do things that are fun.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people think, okay, I have diabetes, or I have pain in my body. I have diverticulitis. There's so many people that have these where I'm not allowed to have vegetables. I'm like, who's telling you this? Who's telling you this? So is there a disease that you know of, or some diagnosis that you know of that shouldn't be following a nutritarian lifestyle?
Yes. Certain people with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, while they're actively bleeding, shouldn't be eating raw vegetables. It could be too stressful on the digestive tract. And for those people, we need to have them eating mostly cooked foods, and we could be pureeing some of the foods. Even the vegetable juices I'm putting them on, we heat them on to a near boil, and then we feed them to them so they're not having something raw. So there are certain digestive impairments,
Good. I'm glad I
mostly
asked that.
called inflammatory bowel disease, which means in its active form when you're bleeding. But once we get these people to heal their gut, and then they can start eating more raw foods and more raw vegetables, and they can, and I have some people who made, a lot of people have made, not a lot, but I have enough individuals who made recovery from inflammatory bowel disease, where they're slowly eating more raw food from their cooked diets, and got able to eat raw and back into good eating again and make complete recoveries. But we didn't start them on all the salad at the beginning when they were so actively inflamed.
Very good. Very good. I'm glad I asked that, because there's so many people that say, well, I can't. Well, there's a way to find your way back to it. Okay. So I want to take some questions. And the first one I saw was from Shanawaz, and it's nice that you're in the classroom today. It says, great admiration for both of you. I have a question for Dr. Fuhrman. I was diagnosed with ataxia at age 12. And the drugs and diet led me to not being able to walk at age 26. I have been a nutritarian. Okay, so what's the question? Let me see. Now I have strong feelings. This issue is heavy metals, toxicity. What are your thoughts? So the question got broken up. So is this something that nutrition will help him, or is this something that maybe he has some toxicity in the body?
Yeah, I don't know the person in that person, but they do need some guidance there, because even though they're saying a nutritarian, we don't know exactly what they're doing. And there are some individuals who need some specialized blood work, because their body has very high levels of cadmium, arsenic, mercury, and lead. And it's amazing when we check people, how many people have high levels of arsenic too, and lead and mercury in their body, but especially arsenic. But usually the nutritarian diet, which is high levels of all these foods we're discussing, brings these levels down with time. Especially we gotta get these people off the brown rice, because the brown rice is high in arsenic and contaminates.
Or white rice, or any rice, right?
Well, white rice is glycemically unfavorable, but it doesn't contain a high level of arsenic.
Really?
Brown rice that contains the arsenic. It's the outer covering of the rice that has the magnetic, like sponge-like effect that sucks up the arsenic. You can reduce the arsenic by eating white rice, but then you're eating a white food, like eating white bread that's dangerous in other ways.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
You got to get rice out of the diet completely. So this person needs some individual counseling, and maybe even individual testing from me to see what problems they have.
Yeah. So if you want to learn more about that, just let me know, and I can maybe connect you, or you can just go to drfuhrman.com. Just let him know that you heard about me, or you heard about him in the classroom. So thank you so much for that question.
Some of these complicated questions, we have a member as part of the Dr. Fuhrman website. I have a member site services where people join, and they're able to ask me and my medical staff their unique questions, so we can custom and give them more specific advice that's not the same advice we give everybody. So people do have an inexpensive way they can access our services to ask us questions through the member center at drfuhrman.com.
Yeah, and it's really it's really important, Dr. Fuhrman, that you know the whole entire background as well. I can see why you would be a little apprehensive to say one way or another. But okay, so Cersei wants to know, what do you usually do to break your fast in the morning, Dr. Fuhrman?
I eat breakfast. My breakfast, sometimes I have a glass of vegetable juice, which is 1/3 like something benign like cucumber, celery, lettuce, and 1/3 carrot and beet, and a little bit of cruciferous in there like bok choy. And we have these beautiful gardens here, so we take stuff out of the garden and juice it. And then I take some berries and pomegranates. Today now it's pomegranate season. I'm mentioning it because pomegranates are in season now. And I take the pomegranate and I cut a thin slit around the outside, twist it open, hold it over my hand, and bang it with the back of a wooden spoon to get the arrows out. And I'll use pomegranates or some berries in a bowl. Maybe I'll put a couple of tablespoons of a grain in there, of a whole grain, but not much, because I want to put my flax seeds, my chia seeds, my hemp seeds. I want more protein because I'm usually exercising a lot. So instead, I'll put a little bit of grain. I'll put my high lignin seeds, a little bit of flax or chia, and usually I'm putting a little bit of flax or chia, like a teaspoon to a tablespoon of flaxseed chia, maybe a teaspoon of each, or maybe a tablespoon of one. But I'm going to put a whole heaping tablespoon of hemp on there to get the extra protein with a little bit of a plant milk. Like it could, this morning I had walnut hemp milk that we made homemade, or it could be a little unsweetened soy milk. And I'll have my pomegranate, my vegetable juice, my little bit of cereal, which is mostly berries and seed and a little bit of seeds and plant milk. And then, today I did have a couple of I had a couple of artichokes I took from the refrigerator that were cooked the day before, and I ate some of the artichokes with that. And that was my, it might have been some left of it. So I had my breakfast. I just eat breakfast.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It sounds delicious to me. A lot of people go, oh, I can't believe you're having vegetables in the morning. Why not? Who said that we can't? And so we need to change the mindset.
Artichoke are the most delicious thing in the world. You take artichokes, fresh artichokes, and you steam them, and you prepare them properly. When you eat the heart and this, it's just incredibly delicious.
For breakfast. Yeah, we just need to change our mindset. Okay, let me go back to YouTube here. Let's see. Lynn, okay, I don't see a Q. Okay, Nirvacho, I see a Q there. Dr. Fuhrman, if after making a green smoothie, you keep it in the refrigerator for many hours before drinking it, do you think that the oxidation and fermentation can destroy most nutrients in it?
No, I don't. You'd have to keep it in there. Usually you're putting it in a covered container,
Mm-hmm.
and the oxidation is only occurring at the surface, not throughout the whole thing. It's not just continuing to be stirred. It's sitting there in a still condition. Maybe you're going to lose a small amount, a couple of %. So it's perfectly okay to wait a few hours or to eat it that evening. Same thing with vegetable juice. You can eat you can juice the vegetable juice and eat it that evening or the next day. It's still okay. You're not going to lose that much nutrients.
I've heard 3 days, the max, 3 days in the refrigerator.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
On the 4th day, you're going to start to get some tasting bad. I've taken drink and say, this just tastes a little off. Because I think you're right. I think 3 days probably is the max, but 1 or 2 days is the optimal.
Yeah. The good news is that any juice that you make yourself 3 days later has more nutrients than any juice that you can buy at the store that's not freshly squeezed. So those little bottles that talk about, like their juices and all that stuff,
that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. So at least you're getting more nutrients at home than you would if you bought it. Okay. So Dr. Fuhrman, Cersei wants to know, should we be supplementing zinc? And if so, what is the suggested dose?
I do think we should be supplementing zinc. In the multis I make, we obviously don't put folic acid and vitamin A and beta carotene and all these dangerous nutrients in most multivitamins. But we definitely use zinc and K2, and also I'm recommending people take B12 and extra D if they're not out and avoiding the sun for being skin cancer. But in any case, the most important nutrients for a vegan to take are zinc, B12, DHA is variable based on your needs, obviously, and DHA and EPA, the omega-3 fatty acids. But zinc is one of the critical nutrients to take. And of course, iodine, if you're not using, making sure your iodine is adequate. So maybe the 4 most important are zinc, iodine, B12, and DHA. But in any case, yes, zinc is present in plant foods, but it's absorbed most effectively from animal products. And when our diet is missing the animal products, we don't have optimal levels of zinc, and many people have varying zinc absorption, and zinc absorption goes down with aging. And we look at the studies, we find that as people age, those that take supplemental zinc have lower risk of infections and deaths related to pneumonia and other infections as they get older, especially in the elderly. Yeah. I do recommend people take somewhere between 10 to 15, or you could say 5 to 15 extra over and above what they get in a normal diet. Say the average of 10 milligrams might be a good amount of zinc people can take, or 15 milligrams over and above what they get from their diet, which they are getting some zinc with plant foods. And I would not be recommending the extra zinc if they were an animal product eater, a heavy animal product eater. Then the zinc would be too much. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to optimize the levels, and too little of certain nutrients is harmful, and too much of certain nutrients is harmful. And animal products, especially meat, gives you too much iron and potentially too much zinc. But from a vegan diet, you get too little. So in other words, we're trying to optimize things, and the studies seem to indicate that taking a zinc supplement is beneficial for people who aren't eating a lot of animal products.
Good. Okay, so Dahlia says, the cleaner I eat, the more my stomach hurts. She said, you hit it with raw veggies. I think she's saying that when that's too harsh for her. What test should I take to help with my gut health? And what should we take for hormone imbalance?
Yeah, I don't usually start with testing when these people, I start with eating, getting them on the right diet, because whatever abnormality you're going to find is going to be fixed when they eat right anyway. And you're just chasing blood tests and it's going to change as soon as they, so in other words, we have to look at this person's diet. And it may be the case that the amount of raw she's consuming either has to be cut down at the beginning or blended or pureed, because then maybe she's just not chewing well. What we see most people with bloating and digestive problems, complaints, recover the quickest and most regularly. All they have to do is eat less food and chew it better. Most often they're overeating at meals. Most often they're getting reflux and the food staying in the stomach too long because they're over consuming calories more than the body needs. And when they overconsume calories, your digestion stops working very well and you start getting food sticking around and not passing through you when you're exceeding your caloric needs. It's like the digestion gets congested because you're taking in more calories than you need. As soon as they start taking in less calories, and people are habitually overeating, they're trained since childhood how to habitually overeat. And they're shocked when you say, you don't even eat that much. You can get by on so much less calories.
I know.
And the second thing is they don't chew well enough.
Yes.
Very often, they just don't need any tests. They just need to chew to a liquid and eat less food and eat the right food. And if that doesn't clear it up, we can do some testing. But there's not really that much you need. Probably she can get better by just tweaking things a bit.
Yeah. And, and people that don't like onions, or the onions repeat on them, or there's a particular vegetable that's good for them, but they can't tolerate it. Your tip that you gave has worked, like beans. And you say, start with just a little bit, and especially with the onions. This happened to my husband, Robert. He could not handle raw onions. And so you said, just start with a little bit and chop it really, really, really tiny and just give him a teaspoon at a time. And then now he eats more onions than I do. And same thing with beans, right, Dr. Fuhrman? Start small and work your way up.
Start small and work your way up, but I just have to, I know I've said it 10 times, but you have to chew it to a liquid and mix it with saliva. Just chopping it or pureeing it isn't ideal, because you're not going to you have to, or even pureeing it is not as good as chewing it to a liquid in your mouth, because the bacteria in the mouth have effects to change the biochemistry of the food. So it's liquefying in your mouth. You create more nitric oxide, more vasodilation, more beneficial health effects when you actually mix it with the saliva and the bacteria that's in the mouth. So that's a secret to improving digestive problems.
I love it. And then there's another thing, Dr. Fuhrman. Many of us think we're hungry, and you talk about toxic hunger and where hunger is felt. Can you share a little bit about that for people that are new to the classroom, and maybe this is the first time they've learned about you, Dr. Fuhrman?
Yeah, everybody is chronically overeating. And it takes a few months of eating right to get in touch with true hunger. And you have to chronically eat less, because they're eating so much food all the time that they're just eating when it's time to eat, and they're not really hungry. And if they're not eating healthfully, then when their body stops digesting food and they enter the catabolic phase, when digestion ceased, they're going to start into a enhanced phase of repair and detox. And that could be some symptoms, withdrawal from their poor eating, from their sugar, from their salt, from the extra nitrogen, from all the animal products they're eating. Just from their overeating, they could be feeling shaky and weak and headachy and stomach crampy. When the stomach empties, it tries to repair, and it causes more spasm and more fluctuating. They think that that's hunger. The stomach feels empty, but you shouldn't be feeling your stomach being uncomfortable when your stomach is empty. Those are what I call toxic hunger from not eating a good diet. When your dietary portfolio is idealized and you stop overeating, then you lose those feelings of weakness, fatigue, stomach fluttering, headache. You feel nothing in the catabolic phase until the glycogen empties out. And then you start to feel true hunger. And true hunger is felt in the neck and the throat area of your body, right here. It's not in your stomach. It's not in your head. It's a drawing feeling. It's not even felt in the same area thirst is. It's a little below thirst. It doesn't feel like thirst either. What I'm saying is, trying to get in contact with get connected with instinctual hunger again is one of the hallmarks of marking a person who's living healthfully. Because we say that if you're never feeling hungry, then you're chronically overeating. The person says, I have the best diet in the world. I'm never losing weight. I'm never hungry. Well, if you're never hungry, you're still chronically overeating, because you need to be hungry once in a while. So your body is signaling a signal. Yep, you need to eat. Because if you're chronically eating, but when you're not hungry, you're eating when you didn't need calories. The hunger represents when you really need calories. And it's getting to that exact level of when you're just a little bit hungry and then eating then is what maximizes your health.
I love it. I love it, Dr. Fuhrman. And I always learn something new and different when you're in the classroom, even 5 years after you've joined us for the first time. And I want to remind you that the book 100 Best Foods for Health and Longevity, 25 mouth-watering recipes are in this book. We can be yours, but you've got to claim it below, say that you want your health back, and also text me at 407-373-5959. So whether you're listening on podcasts, YouTube, BitChute, or Facebook, or wherever you're listening, somebody shared it, please, you've got to text me at 407-373-5959. Dr. Fuhrman, you're an amazing man. I always look forward to seeing you in the classroom, and I know everybody else does too. Remember, go to my website to learn more about his boot camp. That's whenyouneedafriend.com. Thank you, Dr. Fuhrman, for everything that you do to make us healthy. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Joel Fuhrman wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so Dr. Fuhrman is gone. We're so grateful for Dr. Fuhrman for being in the classroom today. I want to kind of send you a reminder that tomorrow our class is going to be at noon. We've got Pimpy in the house, and we're going to be talking, answering your questions on Nicera. Nicera, there's a buzzword Nicera out there, and I want to make sure that we find out what's really going on. And so join us tomorrow at noon. I want to, again, remind you that there's going to be we have Dr. Lorraine Day. We're doing the Bible study. And for those of you who want to join the Bible study and you think that we're like towards the end of it, think again. We have all our lessons are recorded. So please, you can still join, catch up, and join us on Mondays live with Dr. Day. We're going to be doing November 13th, 14th, and 15th. We're going to be doing this mindset shift, going from victim to empowered. There's so many different things that's happening in the classroom. And so we still haven't posted, but people are sending me RSVPs because space is limited for the November 13th, 14th, and 15th. So we're going to have a early bird special. So stay tuned for that. If you are done with your life and you want to change your mindset and you're ready for you're open for some coaching and some group support, we're going to be doing this pretty soon. And then our next class of the New Truth series with Dr. Lorraine Day is going to be the 50 Lessons of Exodus. And that's going to start January 18th. So many wonderful things happening in the classroom, especially now where there's so much chaos in the world. We want to make sure that we stay positive, that we stay calm, and we look at the benefits and the blessings for everything that is happening. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today. I know Dr. Fuhrman is gone, but if you have any questions for me, you're more than welcome. Yes, if you want a copy of the book, listen, this book is it talks about spices and herbs, and it has such beautiful pictures. I wish I wish the lighting in here would be, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So you'll learn about 100 different products. Today, I just bought some papaya. And so I'm going to learn some facts on papaya. So there's so many different ways that we can take our health back. And I hear many of you say, well, I wish I could afford to go to Eat to Live or, have Dr. Fuhrman. There's different ways. Go to my shop now. And if you can go in through there, or you can ask me about it and I can get you in contact with Dr. Fuhrman as well. So there's so many different ways to stay connected. There's so many different ways to empower yourself. And I want for you to take advantage of it. So many resources that we have. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about Nicera. So for those of you who have heard the terminology, tune back in because tomorrow is a special day. It is a very special day. October 15th is always very special. So I want to make sure that you claim it. Claim this book at 407-373-5959. Doesn't matter if you're listening on podcasts, YouTube, BitChute, Facebook, or if somebody just sent you the link and on your a text, they texted you the link. So whatever way you're listening, there was a reason why you're listening. Take advantage of it. Especially if you live in the United States, claim the book. But 407-373-5959, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a